welcome to our channel. Yay!
Welcome.
If you've been coming, we really appreciate it. This is not our first, not our second, not our third, not our fourth, but our fifth video, and we are just so excited and so thankful. If you've been watching continuously, we really appreciate it. Hopefully you're getting something from it, and if you are, you know what to do. Leave the comments everywhere. Okay? Share and let people know. So today we are talking about
Homeowning. Yes.
and how we were homeowners at 23. And actually, do you want to share a cool statistic on homeowners?
So the average homeowner is 36 years old.
Yes, and we say this important statistic. It was because we wanted to.
We want to keep our content something where you don't have to compare, right? We're 23. We are blessed. We were 23. We are blessed to have a home. So don't look around you and see other people who may own homes, other people who may be able to have a better house than you, and think to yourself that you compare themselves to you, or you feel a kind of way about it. You're not behind. Everybody's journey is their own journey.
Exactly.
Everybody's opportunities are their opportunities.
Exactly.
So don't feel like you're behind in life just because you don't own a home.
And comparison is a thief of joy. So if the average age of 30 is 36, that means there's people that are older who are owning homes a little bit later in age.
The average.
Exactly. So that's the average. So just keep that in mind. Everything works different. And I guess just to lead right into our video, what we'll be discussing is preparation to be a homeowner, non-negotiables that we had when wanting to own a home, and the pros and cons. So stick around for all of that. And next week, we're really going to get into what it looks like to have a mortgage, and all the things that comes along with it, like the appraisal, the inspection, step by step. So that will be our video next week. This video is really just focusing on being a homeowner and everything that goes into it. So to begin, our first point is preparations. So the first question prepping. So the first question we're going to ask you is, are you ready for it? Are you ready? And at the end of this video, hopefully you can have kind of an idea of if you are, based on the things that we talk about. Okay? So what's another thing in preparation?
Savings. So we tried our best to save as much as we can. It is one of the biggest components because you have a down payment that you have to pay. We'll get into this more in our next video. But there are different amounts of a down payment that you pay. Sometimes it's 3% for an FHA loan. Sometimes it's up to 30%. So it depends. And again, we'll talk about that more. But you have to save. You have to be able to bring that money up front. And I obviously don't recommend somebody to start looking for a house without that money saved. It's going to be difficult, and we'll talk about that in a second in terms of how much you'll be paying a month for your mortgage. But it's important also to keep in mind that you want to make sure that you have a savings. You want to make sure that both you and your partner discuss what your savings would look like, the intentional approach to saying, okay, this amount of savings or this account, this is what we're not going to touch because our goal is to own a home.
Exactly. And going off of that, statistics say that you're really only supposed to use 30% of your income to cover any housing. So if you're getting $1,000 a month, you shouldn't be spending $800 in your home. Right. So you don't want to live out of your means. Yes, over time, owning a home is going to save you money, and we'll talk about that. But is it wise to do it right now? So obviously, we were looking at homes before we had the money we needed saved, but just to kind of get an idea of what the market was like at the time. So you can look, but also keep in mind what's realistic for you, because I feel like if you put the price ranges too high, sometimes you get overzealous and you're just like, oh, I want to get that, I want to get that, I want to get that. So just saving and being realistic of what you can actually afford is super important. The next fact that we want to add is location. So this was a big
Yes.
thing in preparation. Where do you want to live? When you buy a home, you are fixed in that city.
Mm-hmm.
What city do you want to live in? So we both grew up in Miami. I
Mm-hmm.
lived in Miami when I came back from college. And then when I was younger, I lived in Broward. And he lived in Miami growing up.
Mm-hmm.
305, shout out. And then now he lived in Broward. But
Mm-hmm.
then we decided that we wanted to live in Broward. So that's what we did. We wanted to raise our family in Broward, and we just love the location. So location is just a really big thing. Just figure out where you want to live, and that it's okay with your partner. If you're buying a home by yourself, that it's the city you want to live with. What commute is it close to your work? Like, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to location, but choose a location.
And I just wanted to add, just going back to the idea of being realistic, we just happen to live in South Florida, but the certain amount of money that we may be able to pay in Miami may be different in wherever you're watching. So
Exactly.
it's important to keep that in mind as well.
Price ranges vary.
Right, price ranges vary. Like Texas, I mean, I send Sika videos
Mansions.
from in Texas, and you can buy a pretty solid house for $350,000 in Texas. And anybody who knows or who lives or has any knowledge of the market here in South Florida, 350,000 is not going to get you, a mansion of that size, or a single family home.
Exactly.
So it's keeping that in mind as well, being realistic within the location that you want to stay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you brought up a good point about mansions and stuff like that. You also do and single family homes. I think with that in mind, it's not just location, but also the type of home that you want to live in and what's realistic for you. So is a townhome okay? Is a single family home? Like, there's just so many different, places that you can live. So keeping that in mind is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the next one?
And then our next point are non-negotiables. So what are your non-negotiables? What must your home have and you're not willing to budge on
Give
that?
up, yeah.
So what were some non-negotiables of ours?
Well, we have a very big family. So I know that when we walked into a potential home, when we were doing our search, I wanted to envision our family there.
Yeah.
Sika has a lot of cousins. Sika has a lot of aunts. And we have family that will stay, or when we were buying a home, we knew that we would be buying the home with the intentions of sleepovers, of family members coming
all the time.
So
cooking, people coming
over, just being a
we wanted
house.
our home to be filled with love, laughter, and people. So that was a big factor for us.
Absolutely. So we needed to envision it. We needed to make sure that the home that we had could make that happen, that provided the space for us. So yeah,
so that was one of our non-negotiables. Another one of our non-negotiables was kid-friendly. We wanted to be in a neighborhood that our kids could run free and that they could have a fun upbringing, and a neighborhood that we saw other kids. So it was really cool. When we came to see this house, we saw parents pushing their babies, little kids running around, people at the pool, like just very kid-friendly, very safe. It felt, for us, we wanted gated, so it just, all of those things go into. So not gated wasn't a non-negotiable, but really just kid friendly was important to us. So like in our neighborhood, there's a big playground that kids can play on, and lake, and lots of greeneries,
pools,
tennis courts. So
and just to add to that, and just to go back to planning a little bit, that was also an aspect to it, because we don't have any children right now, but we want children. So we knew that the house that we would be buying is going to be the house that our kids are going to grow up in.
Yeah.
So that was a big one for us too.
Super
so that's a
big
good point.
one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a really good point. And another part that was really important to us was amenities. We really wanted, first of all, we wanted to cut down costs. So we wanted, if we didn't have to have a gym membership, or drive somewhere far to go to a pool, even if it wasn't our own personal pool, we wanted amenities. So for us in our neighborhood, we have tennis courts, which we actually play tennis on.
We do.
Shout out to our sister for getting us rackets, and our other sister for giving us another racket. Thanks, Talia. So yeah, we have tennis courts, we have a pool, we have gym.
All here, right?
All here. We don't have to go far. So we were able to cut down, like $50-$60 in gym memberships, because we have it right here. So that was really important. And I was kind of just thinking of what Bjorn said about, kids and stuff like that. Another thing to really consider with knowing if you're ready is this your forever home, or is this just going to be your first home?
Good job. Well
Thank
done.
you, honey.
Well done.
So
Well
for
done.
us, we knew this is going to be our first home.
Mhm.
This is going to be our first home, not our forever home. So we were okay with maybe not having this huge backyard and our own personal pool or whatever it may be. For us, having a community that had those things incorporated for us was much easier. Like he said, we became homeowners at 23. So that's also a lot of responsibility because
Tons.
we are starting out ourselves, still growing in our careers, doing all those things. So if we can cut down having to pay someone to cut the grass or whatever it may be, we were really happy with that. So keep in mind, is this your first home or your forever home? Okay, so our non-negotiables are based on the fact that we know that this is our first home, and we're gonna go into why it's our first
Just
home
what to say.
and not our forever home. Stay tuned, people.
And we'll also talk a little bit more about the responsibility and all
That
of
comes
that
with it.
in a little bit.
Exactly. Another non-negotiable was distance from family. So Bjorn and I, we love family. We're family-oriented people, and obviously,
Gotta have
like he said, we want to have kids. So we wanted to be in a location that when we do have kids, you know, we're like literally 12 minutes from his mom, 15-20 minutes from my family. So it's just really perfect to us. It's on the cusp of Miami, where all of our family is, and Broward, where his family is. So we're right there in the middle. So
Perfect.
distance from your family.
Yeah.
Another one?
Next one, proximity to work. So luckily we both work in hospitals. So, but it is a big one. Being able to have access to, say, for example, the highway, to be able, we don't use the highway to get to work, but
yeah, that's another thing.
That's another thing to
Going
consider.
to work, when I did live in Miami, I'm like constantly just on 95 and traffic's crazy. People just can't drive. Period. Point blank in Miami. But traffic was crazy. I did not want to be on 95. I wanted to be able to take a local shot to work, just a peaceful ride to work. So non-negotiable. We didn't want to have to drive more than 30 minutes to get to work. So his job from here is 15 minutes.
15.
My job is about like 20 minutes. 15 on a good morning.
And it's a big deal because, I mean, we don't work from home.
Exactly. So it saves time. Who wants to commute 30 minutes an hour? If you're looking to own a home, yes, you might find this perfect home an hour away, but think about daily how that's going to affect your finances. Now you're spending more gas. Now you have a longer commute. That's less time that you have in your day to be able to do things that are important. So commute is really important.
Yeah, and the ease of that commute.
The ease of that wasn't something we were willing to negotiate. Even if we found a really nice place 45 minutes away, we're like, nope, because long term this is going to be better for us. And we're happy with the decision because it has proven to be better. And then another thing is we wanted to have space for guests. So yes, we talked about the big sleepovers that we just throw a bunch of mattresses and whatever away, but we also wanted guest rooms. We wanted to be able to have our family over. I have family that lives outside of the country. I have family that, you know, they might need a place to stay. And just in general, I think a big prayer for us was, Lord, please give us a home so that if our family, you know, goes through anything, that they have a place that they're able to stay. Like that was a big desire of my heart, because I know that I've had to live with family members and stuff like that in the past, and I understand how it can feel sometimes to know, like, you might not have your own home, but you can live with someone else. So we wanted to be able to have a home in which we had a space that people could feel comfortable in their own space, in their own room, when they come to spend time with us and visit us. So that was a huge prayer for us. And it's really come true because we've had so many people stay with us and sleep with us and, you know, pass some time if needed. So yeah, big non-negotiable for us, huge prayer for us that has been answered. Yeah, so those are our non-negotiables.
You explained that very well.
Thank you, baby.
Say. Yeah.
Do you have any other non-negotiables?
That was it. I mean, I guess just to add a tiny little bit to what you were just saying, it really is a blessing to be able to. It's a blessing and a privilege to be able to open our home to family that are able to stay with us for a few nights.
Yeah.
They're flying in from wherever they're flying in from. They can stay with us. We can house them. They can be in our presence. And I think one thing that you and I try our best to do is always exhibit Jesus within our relationship. So being and within our home. So having people like, say, for example, your cousins who can come and sleep over and see us interact with each other, how we handle our home. It's a huge blessing for me because I feel like they're able to kind of see what it's like for you and I to work together and to have a home. So I think that's a really, really big blessing. So
Very huge blessing.
Just that.
We're thankful, as you can tell. And a big thing too is that you get to set that standard, and we'll talk about it. This kind of leads into pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
So with that being said, very big pro is that you get to cultivate this idea of peace in your home. You get to cultivate love. You get to cultivate a culture of, hey, you're safe here. We love you here. You are seen here. You can talk about how you're feeling, what's troubling you here. We love you. And that's something you create. Like, I know, like, I've gone to places where I feel uncomfortable. I feel like it's cold. I feel like, oh, I don't know. But that's not what we wanted here. We wanted for people that enter our home to feel comfortable. Like, you are welcomed here. So that's a pro of home owning, because not just home owning, if you even have your apartment or you're renting, I mean, just having a space to call your own is such a privilege, because you can really set the standard for how you want people to feel that comes. So that's a big deal. One pro. Another one is,
so your money isn't wasted. So we talk a lot about that. Now, I've seen in a few spaces where it's like, obviously, if you're not ready to own a home financially, it is best to rent, and that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But it does feel amazing to know that the money that we are putting into our home, we will see it in 15 years, whatever, that we either sell the house or that we get a new one. So that having that ability to know, that peace of mind, to know that in a few years we'll be able to get that money back.
And we'll see that money,
and hopefully with a little bit on the top of it. I feel like that's a really big part of home owning, that it's like it's hard to explain, you know.
No, but you're saying exactly right. Your money isn't wasted. You even see it in your taxes. Like, we get more money back on our taxes just because we own a home, because we put tax in to our mortgage every single month. So you just get your money back. It's just very economically more friendly. So like for us at work and wherever, I hear people telling me the costs of their rent, and it's literally double our mortgage. And what they're paying is just for 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. But unfortunately, that's just the cost of living in Florida, South Florida, is just really high. But because we were able to snag a home, our mortgage is so low and it's fixed. Like, nobody can look at us and say, sorry, you gotta pay $300 more because they're building a mall right there. Nope. For us, the market stays consistent. It's a fixed rate that we have, which is something we'll talk about in our next video, because rates can change when you own a home, and your mortgage can change, but it depends on if it's fixed or not fixed. So yeah, economically friendly. Mortgages are typically cheaper than rent.
Yeah, but again, it's that peace of mind, honestly.
It's that
to know that in that later on in life or later on down the line, you're gonna be able to see the money back.
Exactly. This one?
Which one is that?
Freedom of Religion.
Yeah, so in renting a place, you kind of have to go by what the owners of the home, whether it be comfortable doing. When owning a home, you're able to you have a lot more freedom, obviously. Like, a great example of this is our windows.
Oh yeah.
When we bought our home,
we live in Florida.
We live in South Florida. Hurricanes are a big thing that happen every year. It's when you get into hurricane season, everybody is keeping tabs on
no water, no gas.
Everything. Everybody's keeping tabs on the satellite system and the meteorologists, and seeing what's going on out there. So what we did was we actually went ahead and got hurricane windows.
That was like one of the first things we did.
That was one of the first things that we did.
We installed hurricane windows.
And they're very good quality hurricane windows, and we decided that would be the best decision for us, for our home.
Exactly.
But having that freedom to say, hey, let's go ahead and look at it. Like, we don't have to go by. We don't have to ask permission. We really just
do it.
Hey, if this is something that we want to build for our home, we do that. Exactly. Same thing with something along the lines of like remodeling the kitchen, furniture, remodeling rooms. Like,
yeah, you have the freedom to do what you want to do, and you can really make the home your own. And in everything you do, you don't waste the money.
You don't waste
because the price and the value of your home will go up once it becomes appraised. So big thing, you get to reconstruct your home. Another big thing that was really important too was for us is generational wealth. And we'll talk about this because in my family and in our family, the Atkinson family, we want to create generational wealth. We want to know that when our kids are older and they're looking for a home, like, we've already started investing. So this home, and when we talk about, you know, first home and forever home, it's our first home, because what we know is that we want our first home to be able to pay for our forever home. And we will do that. So once we finish paying off this home, we're gonna get our forever home, which might have all the things that we always dreamed of having, our dream home. And this house's mortgage is gonna pay that off. So recently, out of curiosity, we spoke to like the manager of our community, and she let us know. I was like, man, like, how much is it to rent a 3-bed, 3-bath in our community? And she said the cost that she told us was double our mortgage. So right now, at our age, if we were to get another home in the future, we would easily be able to pay off our mortgage with our first home's mortgage. So generational wealth is really important to us because it's passive income. We just have someone here renting and we're passively making money. So big thing. And we just want to continue to lay seeds and a foundation for our children in the future. Of course, they're gonna have to work and do what they gotta do to make ends meet, but we do want to be able to set the standard of like, this starts young.
And hopefully equip them not with just what the physical things, but the knowledge.
But the knowledge and the wisdom, because it's not about thinking about right now. Right now, I just need a place to lay my head. It's about, okay, in 10 years, what is this house going to be doing for me? In 10 years, what can, you know? So this was our first home, and I mean, in the future, we don't know what we do, but we're also looking into maybe owning multiple homes and having it pay our dream home. So thinking about the future and generational wealth and setting yourself up for the best. And the last thing for a pro is an HOA. It's a pro and it's also a con, but for us, we consider it a pro because it really does relieve a lot of responsibility. For example, our HOA, we don't have to worry about cutting our grass, we don't have to worry about Wi-Fi bill, we don't have to worry about the water bill, we don't have to worry about paying a gym membership. What else do they cover? They cover so much.
Well, pool maintenance.
The pool maintenance. If something goes wrong, like I think one of our lights outside went out, they come and change the light fixture, put a new light in, pressure washing the home. They're gonna pressure wash, clean to make sure everything on the outside looked very, very nice and up to date. Fixing the gate, like all the little things that, as if we had a single family home that we'd have to pay for, we don't have to pay for because it's covered in our HOA. Now that's gonna mean that our HOA is a little bit more expensive, but when you total up the cost, it is worth it. Like, it adds up. So when you're looking into a home, you're thinking HOA or non-HOA, and is what they're charging me equitable to what I'll be receiving? So big thing, HOA. So now that we talked about the cons, you want to talk about the pros. You want to talk about the cons?
Let's talk about the cons. I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm ready to go.
So cons, get started.
So the responsibility of owning a home, I think, is something that a lot of people don't talk about. I think sometimes people see people who own a home and they're like, wow, you're really going to complain about the fact that you have to do X, Y, and Z to own a home? But it's true. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility. Sika and I, say for example, the AC.
We'll talk about the first month. The first month, we come back from our honeymoon. Things are fine and dandy. We have a home. We finally live together. Woo, 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 newlyweds, yay! And then what happens?
The downstairs, the pipes downstairs, there was a leak. There was a leak coming down our door. We couldn't find out the source.
Couldn't figure it out.
We had somebody come in and check it out. Person said, hey, there's a leak on this.
Something's going on
in the walls. I said, you're kidding. He opens the wall and he goes, look, this is actually a problem that is going to probably impact the entire pipe kind of system that we have here downstairs. I suggest, since I'm already here, we just do the whole thing, which, because
the leak wasn't going to stop. And what he was telling us was, so another thing in considering your home, the age of your home. So our home was constructed in 1997 or something. 97. And they hadn't redone the pipe systems in a really long time. And I think our pipes were like copper or
something like that.
Some nickel,
something like that.
Some metal. But anyway, now people are using PVC?
PVC pipes.
PVC pipes or whatever. So anyway, he opened...
What in the world?
So now people use PVC. I on it. So now people are using like the PVC pipe. So anyway, he had to go and find the master pipe basically.
Yeah.
And our whole entire downstairs, he had to cut everything, everything open and completely change the inside of our home. Something you can't see on inspection. So it's like these are financial decisions
that you're responsible for.
You're responsible, and they come up out of nowhere. We had just gotten married. We had just come back from our honeymoon, and now they're asking us to cough up money, thousands of dollars that we just got here. So it's like that's definitely a con, because it's like, if I was renting this place, your landlord is going to come take care of it. Right. No, you are the landlord. You must take care of this, because if not, especially if you have an up and down kind of house, an upstairs and a downstairs, something's wrong with your pipes upstairs, your walls are going to cave in. So really common.
And that goes along the lines of pretty much everything in the house, like AC problems, like I was mentioning, the sink issues. I can't call a landlord and say, hey landlord, this issue is happening, can you bring somebody over and they cover the expenses? We actually have to do that on our own. It is a blessing because it's our responsibility and we don't have to worry or go through somebody else, but the responsibility is a big deal because you have to get it done, and sometimes it comes at a cost, like a financial cost, and it can be quite expensive sometimes.
Exactly. And another thing too, in that you're stuck. You're stuck when you own a home. For the most part, you're stuck because you've agreed to a specific contract that you're going to pay X amount of money. You're stuck in the location. You're stuck with a lot of things when you own a home. Like Bjorn and I are we can't just pick up and just
break our lease.
We can't break our lease. Like this is
not renew our lease.
That we have to renew.
I mean, unless we sold the house.
We sold the house,
we
and
don't want to do that.
Exactly. So you're kind of stuck in the location and everything. So that can be seen as a con. For us, it's not a con, because we want to be stuck here. This is where we want to live. And responsibility too has never really been a big issue for us. Like, we're people who attack things head on if we face a problem. But to some, responsibility and the fact that you can't just freelance wander everywhere all the time is a big con.
Like, I know a few people who have gone through,
think in my head, who just people who they just like change, so they just will go city to city to city. Oh, I want to try living here, I want to try that. So if you're one of those people, that might be a con for you.
Sure.
Another thing is your fixed rate. So fixed rates, we'll talk about it mainly in our next video, but it can be 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, however many years that you want to have your fixed rate. But can you imagine you open your mortgage app and you see 25 years to go? Like, it can be very daunting, and it's in months. So you're seeing
like 12 times 30.
You're like, it just seems like so long of a time for you to pay off your home. Like, it's like, in 30 years our home is going to be paid off, or how many X years
we're going to be in our 50s.
Exactly. So it can be daunting. So that's definitely a con for sure. But we'll talk about that next week, but you can cut down obviously on those years by adding an extra payment to your mortgage, or just paying a lump sum, whatever it may be. There's different ways to be able to cut down those years.
Sure.
And our last con, which was also a pro,
we already spoke about, was the HOA.
Exactly.
Because sometimes with that HOA, yes, you own the home, but there are certain limitations, right? Like,
exactly.
We can't really do much to the outside of our home. We had a project that we did, just to keep it short and sweet, we had a project that we did outside from a landscaping perspective, and we did get a notice to remove the rocks. We put rocks down.
Very pretty rocks. It was during the holiday season, and guess what? People saw our house, and people were continuously complimenting the outside of our house and our white rocks. Can you believe that over like 5-10 people in our neighborhood saw those rocks and started buying their own rocks to do the landscaping of their own thing? So basically our community was telling us like, hey, because of this, now everyone is doing that. So that's a little bit tricky when you feel like you want to beautify your home outside and you can't because of the HOA. So and
I mean, that's our perspective or our experience having an HOA. I know that all HOAs aren't like that.
But ours is pretty strict.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that all of the homes look the same, unified. So I can see their argument, but that's one aspect to it that you don't really plan for that.
You don't plan for that.
You don't really think, hey, HOA is going to do that.
But yeah, and I mean, I feel like an HOA is a video we can have our own. Like an
It can have
HOA
its own
can have
video
its
for it.
own video, so we won't get too deep into it. But it can definitely be a con, even though in a lot of ways it's a pro.
It's a pro, yeah. It's about what you're willing to. It's like a give and take.
Give and take.
Right. We have a very high HOA, but we do get a lot, and I also, in retrospect, appreciate the fact that they want to keep everything.
Yeah, and they want to keep it clean.
And I mean,
nice.
And shout out to our HOA, because actually a few months later or a few weeks later, we were the first house to get the new renovations for the garden, for the landscaping.
Exactly. Yeah. And we, when they emailed us or whatever, we went directly, we spoke to them, we said, hey, you know, sorry, we weren't trying to. And in retrospect, again, we should have asked them ahead of time and said, hey, you know,
this is something that we want to do.
We shouldn't have just gone ahead and do it. I mean, it came in our mind that, oh, maybe this might not be possible.
It was
but we were
season.
So desperate to like beautify the outside of our home, we just went with it. But kind of like he was saying, when they started adding new grass and new whatever to our neighborhood and mulch, they started at our building and said, you know what, we are gonna start here. We appreciate the fact that you care so much about your community, that you were trying to beautify your outside of the property. This is what we'll do for you. So they work with us.
At least our HOA. So shout out to our HOA.
Yeah.
They kind of came through on that end, because they saw the intention. They saw the what we were trying to get at, which was beautifying the home.
Exactly.
And they ended up. They did have us remove the rocks, but they ended up coming through and making it nice.
But it was great.
It was
nice. It was fun.
And it looks beautiful even now.
And now it's beautiful. Yeah. Any more cons, Bobby?
I don't think so.
No.
Anything added overall?
Overall, being a homeowner is great.
Yeah.
We love being homeowners. This is like the most peace I think I've ever had in my life, just knowing that I can walk through these doors and know this is my home. This is my home. We get to make the decisions that we want in our home. This is our home. It's nice. It's nice to have that feeling. So yeah, that's the biggest takeaway. It is so worth it. Yes, the process of actually getting the home is very hectic. It can be very stressful. You want a home, but someone takes it, and this and that and this and that. Do I move quick on it? Do I wait a little longer? Is now the time? It's a lot.
About that next week.
But overall, just think about it in your head if you're ready, and also pray on it. I think a big thing that we did was pray on it. Like, God, is this the time? Is this the house that we need? Is this the time for us? And we found that it was. So yeah, being a homeowner is great. There's a lot of cool things that come with it. Next week in our video, we will be going over a mortgage and all the steps in detail.
All the steps that we
Stay tuned. This is part 1 of our home owning series. Next week, you'll have part 2.
And to close, again, our prayer and our hope is that we don't come across in a pretentious way. I know that we're young homeowners. We've been blessed in so many ways. Understand that you are not behind if you are older than us. Or if you are somebody who is in the process of getting a home.
Do not be discouraged.
Don't be discouraged. Don't look at our situation and think to yourself, why aren't you in that situation? God has a plan for you.
Exactly.
God is going to bless you.
Yeah.
God is going to look after you. Just continue to work, continue to pray, continue to do everything that you are supposed to, that you know is right, and you know that you will be blessed with a home. So we're blessed. We're just trying to share our blessings to others. Stay tuned next week. I hope that it's fruitful to everybody who watches. We're going to try and make it a really good, detailed video for you so that you can really get an inside look into what happened with us, the story time of how we went about it, because it is a crazy story how we even got to get the home, even before.
It's crazy.
I'll talk about my preconceived notions, and we'll talk about that.
There's a lot.
But thank you so much. If you've gotten this far into the video, we thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sitting with us. Again, like I think our content is great for if you're on the car ride home, if you're washing some dishes, if you're hanging out, if you're cleaning the house and you're putting us on, listen to us in the background. We're just so thankful for you all for even tuning in.
Seriously.
So, that's it.
Thank you. Subscribe, follow our channel. Woo! Hope
we love you.
Enjoyed it.